Hey, Kyle, it's wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NWA Power and USA from July 1st and July 2nd. Also, Power originally was released on Fight June 18th, or June 28th, I'm sorry. So this is the third straight week in a row of the Knox Out tapings in Knoxville, Tennessee, right after the Always Ready pay-per-view, which was 3 weeks ago now. And let's just get into Power. That's the show that comes out first. Always a little bit longer than USA and has been around longer than USA. So that is the flagship weekly show for NWA. In the ring is ring announcer Kyle Davis. He almost always starts every show in the ring introducing someone. So this time he introduces former NWA World Champion Matt Cardona. And if you remember, Matt Cardona was injured before he could defend his world NWA world title at his own themed pay-per-view with his color scheme, named after his song and catchphrase, Always Ready. Even had a ZR capitalized in the Always Ready in the middle for Zack Ryder, and he couldn't even fight on it. He had to relinquish the title, if you remember. Go check out my Always Ready review for more. But Matt Cardona comes out. There's no Cardonas, which is his bodyguards and friends. There's no Chelsea Green, which is his wife. Matt Cardona comes out alone and then forces Kyle Davis to hold the ropes open for him. Kind of heelish, but also Matt Cardona has his arm in a sling. He tore his bicep and had to get surgery. So he might have needed the help to get in anyway. Kyle asks for an update on the medical condition. Matt takes the mic from Kyle and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my guest is Kyle Davis." So Matt Cardona taking over the interviewing here. Matt asks Kyle who pinned or submitted the world champion Matt Cardona at the Always Ready pay-per-view. Kyle says, "Of course, nobody did." And Kyle brings up the new champion Trevor Murdoch. Matt says, to enjoy my title during the summer, but once I'm healed in a few months, I'm taking back the title I never lost. Then Matt yells at Billy Corgan that he better give him his effing title. So good opening here. Unfortunate for Matt Cardona, but hopefully it doesn't take him out too long. He said months, but I mean, I guess that could mean 6, 7 months. It doesn't mean like 3. So we'll see. Hopefully it's more towards 4 months than 8. You know what I mean? Anyway, we get the opening video for Power now, and Velvet is again Velvet Sky on commentary. Um, we're told that Harry Smith and Doug Williams, the Commonwealth Connection, will defend the tag titles tonight against the former tag champions La Rebellion in the main event, and this will be under Lucha Libre rules. So that'll be an interesting main event. But first, we've got women's tag team action. Genocide's music plays, and she comes out with Misa Kate, and kind of an oddball pairing here. We've seen Misa Kate on AEW Dark a lot recently, so AEW's definitely been giving Misa Kate a look. Genocide has great gear here. And out next is Max the Impaler. Max has also been on AEW a few times recently on AEW Elevation. I mean, Dark Elevation. Max's partner is going to be Chelsea Green, who looks terrible in orange. Her skin is super tan, almost orange itself, so it's not a good look. Both teams are oddball pairings because I wouldn't necessarily think Chelsea Green would be with Max the Impaler either. So Chelsea moves Max's jacket off the apron, which makes Max mad. And Chelsea then tags in right as the bell rings. This also makes Max mad. Misa Kate then hits a huge boot to Chelsea's face, then tags in Genocide. Misa gets the crowd to cheer before they hit a double team move on Chelsea. Some little kid in the crowd says, "Look at the creepy girls." So he could be talking about any of these women, really. I don't know which one he was talking about, but that was funny. Genocide takes apart Chelsea and tags in Misa Kate. Chelsea then rakes the eyes, and Kate ends up in front of Max, who headbutts Kate from the apron. Kate then gets a 1 count on a roll up, but Chelsea gets it back under control right after that. Chelsea tags in Max now. Max grabs Chelsea by the back of the hair and throws her right into Misa Kate, using her as a weapon. Max does. Max then stomps Misa Kate's face into the ring, or slams, I mean, and then Kate counters with an ensiguri, and Chelsea tags in. Kate tags out, and Genocide wrecks Chelsea. Genocide then goes for an airplane, or hits an airplane spin that transitions right into a stunner. That looked nice. Max has to come in and save Chelsea, then drags Chelsea to the corner so Max can tag in. Max squares off with Genocide. They're about the same size. They're both really large. Genocide gets the better of this and with some Muay Thai knees. Misa Kate now in, and Max slams her hard. Max hits the Welcome to the Wasteland, their finisher for the 1-2-3, and decent little match here. I like the oddball pairings. And we go to an ad break immediately after the match ends. When we come back, May Valentine is in the back interviewing Rodney Mack. She wants to know, other than your amazing wife, Jazz, who keeps you motivated? So Rodney Mack says, well, sometimes you go through rough spells in life, and sometimes someone comes along and helps you out. Because of this individual, he's got me motivated. And May asks, who is it? And Rodney says, well, you'll find out real soon. And we don't have to wait long. We'll find out later in this episode. But next, we've got triple threat action in the light heavyweight division. Already in the ring is all three of them. It's the Latin lover, Gustavo Aguilar, with a rose in his mouth. And also in the ring, Sal the Pal with his crazy hair. And then in the ring again, as well, is PJ Hawks. And PJ's 23, looks 14. His dad, Luke, is about 40, but looks 30. So they got a good gene pool as far as looking young in the Hawks family. Like I said, this is a triple threat match. PJ's gear looks kind of tacky, but I actually love it. It looks like the inside of a Taco Bell in the 1990s. Any of you old heads know exactly what I'm talking about with that color scheme and stuff. The announcers remind us that Father James Mitchell is punishing Sal and Gags the Gimp by not accompanying them to the ring. And this has Sal in an even worse state than usual. He's looking up to the sky and looking for anything really to motivate him. He's just lost in the sky. PJ Hawks is by far the largest man in this ring, which he's not quite used to, but he uses his power advantage quite well to start out this move. Really good, fast-paced three-way action for light heavyweight action here. I didn't write down everything, but eventually Gustavo hits the crossbody to both men, but Sal bites Gustavo's head to gain control. Sal then stomps and hits a couple stomps and a penalty kick and rocks back and forth in a seated position. So this allows the other two to get back into the match. Gustavo hits a Destino on PJ, but Sal is able to break that up. And Sal with a nasty looking driver. I don't know what kind of driver, but it looked nasty. And that was to Gustavo. And then follows it up quickly with a flatliner. But then again, Sal racks on the ground. He bites the ropes. PJ is able to lock in the Hawks clutch on Sal, and Sal taps. So PJ with a big win here. Super fast, but it's super short match. And that's a common theme with these NWA matches on their weekly television. They're just way too short. I get squash matches and I get short matches, but none of these matches ever get time to get going, especially I wish they would at least give the title matches some time, but we've had 2 title matches this week and both of them are super, super short. I understand they're running like a 45-minute Powerrr and a half-hour USA per week. That also includes some advertising within it. So I get that they're short on time with what they have, but man, like nobody who in their right mind can get into these matches when they're so short. Anyway, we come back and it's Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf. That's La Rebellion. They just recently lost their titles. I think at Always Ready to the Commonwealth Connection, although that might have been on Powerrr. And Bestia talks in Spanish. I don't know what he says, but then Mecha Wolf talks in English. He says those titles meant prestige. We brought a lot of prestige to those titles, but under the Commonwealth Connection, they're just belts. They're props since they cheated the win. And so that's why we asked for a Lucha Rules match, and we'll show you why we had those championships for 284 days. So that'll be the main event tonight. But next, we'll find out who Rodney Mack was talking about earlier, because he'll be in action. But first out is one half of the Country Gentleman, adorable Anthony Andrews. And his opponent, like I said, is Rodney Mack, who gets pretty good cheers from the crowd. And then after Mack comes out for a few seconds, accompanying Rodney Mack in this match is Aaron Stevens. So apparently Aaron helped out Rodney Mack by motivating him. And Velvet says Aaron does indeed have a manager's license. So she was already on top of that. And then the announcers are basically surprised to see Aaron because he said he was leaving. I remember he told May, let's go to Brazil and just leave this place. Tim Storm then says, I got a little uneasy feeling. I feel something a little bit different about Aaron Stevens. So uh, that's them telegraphing where this storyline's going to go, but which is kind of unnecessary. Just let it play out. But anyway, Anthony Andrews starts in control, hits a few chops. Rodney Mack then counters and hits a middle rope shoulder tackle. That was nice. Now Mack goes on the attack with a few strikes. Big spine buster by Rodney Mack has Andrews reeling. Mack then stays on the attack with some mounted punches, but the ref breaks that up. And Mack stays in control with some punches in the corner now. On the after the 4 punches, Andrews reverses it and now gets in control. So Andrews hits some really slow prodding offense to keep in control. Aaron slaps the ring to get the crowd to rally behind Rodney Mack. Now that's the first time Aaron did anything. Mack makes a comeback, hits a big lariat and then a power slam, and then locks in the crossface chicken wing for the submission victory. Aaron Stevens walks over to Andrews and gets in his face without saying a word, just kind of stares him down. Tim Storm again is feeling uneasy about Aaron Stevens, and we go to an ad break. So they're completely telegraphing that Aaron Stevens is going to be a bad person. Anyway, we get a recap from last week's USA, and it's the exact part of USA I never wanted to see again in my life, where the Thrill Billy takes the chew from the mouth of his manager, puts it in his own mouth, and then loses right away to Luke Hawx. So I could have gone without seeing that again, but there it is. Anyway, it's time for the main event already. It's the NWA World Tag Team titles defended by the Commonwealth Connection. That is Doug Williams and Harry Smith, son of the British Bulldog. And La Rebellion are the former champions and the challengers here getting their rematch. They are Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf. So La Rebellion comes out first. And again, this is held under Lucha rules, which basically the main rule to remember is that if you slide out of the ring, that's as good as a tag. So if you slide out of the ring, your partner can come right in and be the legal man. And I think there might be a couple other rules, but that's the main one you need to keep in mind. So the Commonwealth Connection are out next. There's some pretty good cheers. And before they can get into the ring, both La Rebellion dives out to the outside with Tope Suicidos to start the match. So the announcers are start yelling a little bit too much because there's not a ton of noise in the small building they're in, or there's just not a ton of people, so they can't make a ton of noise. So I mean, that kind of yelling style of commentary works if you're in a couple thousand, if you're in a giant arena or whatever, but here it was just like overkill. The announcers are yelling and there was no reason to yell that much. But anyway, La Rebellion then double team each man individually, and I guess the bell rang at some point, but I don't remember it. And even the announcer, after I write that down in my notes, the announcer says, I don't think we ever heard the bell, but this match has started. So I think the timekeeper forgot the bell in this one. The Commonwealth turn it in their favor with a double team. Doug then works over Bastia, then tags in Harry. Harry hits a headbutt to the torso, like we've seen Bret Hart do many, many times. And then a scoop slam after that, hit the bicep pose, and Harry's looking in control here. So he tags in Doug, and Bastia gets isolated. Mecha Wolf just runs in and kicks Doug to try and get something going here. But Doug maintains control and then tags back in Harry. Harry hits a really long, I think 10-second long delayed vertical suplex. Mecha Wolf has to come in to break the count. Mecha then does his best to rally the crowd behind Bestia, but the crowd just seems to like Commonwealth Connection more, and they don't really rally for him. Double team move on Doug now turns the tide, and they go for the Total Rebellion finisher, but Doug fights out of it. Then Doug eats a double super kick and gets Tope Suicido to the face. But Harry's now in. Remember, Lucha Libre rules. Once you leave the ring, you can come in and be the legal man. Harry hits the running power slam for the 1, 2, 3, and this match is super short and already over. So that's what I was mentioning with we get another tag title match on USA, and that one's super short. So they don't even give you a chance to get into these matches. Anyway, Commonwealth Connection retain their titles, and it never had a chance to get going or be any good. So Commonwealth retain their titles, and the show just ends. So let's just get right into the USA tapings. Also taped in Knoxville right after the Always Ready, and this was released today on July 2nd, 2022. NWA USA. And USA starts out with May Valentine in the back, and she's got Gags the Gimp with her. So finally, I've been missing Gags the Gimp. He's one of my favorite characters on these shows. He's just everything he does, especially when Father James Mitchell is around, is hilarious. So, but we found out today there's no Father James Mitchell around whatsoever, and Gags was still pretty funny. So May is completely uncomfortable, but she says, "Oh, thanks for letting me give you your first interview." And she asks Gags, "Are you a happy person inside?" And Gags just looks at her, and May then asks, "What makes you happy inside?" So Gags unzips his mouth zipper, gets really close to May's face, sticks out his tongue, and then wiggles it a little bit. May is completely terrified, and Gags just leaves. May then speaks in a foreign language. Maybe it's Italian. I'm not quite sure what her background is, but she's so frightened and mad that she starts speaking in her native language, which was pretty funny. And what a start to the show. So the show's opening plays, and damn, Velvet here on commentary again. Why do we have to listen to Velvet Sky on commentary twice a week? Kyle Davis in the ring as usual, and he's going to introduce the church's money, Black G's. And Black G's comes out, but also with Austin Idol to Big Booze. Kyle says, "I thought you had news for us, but why is Idol here?" He says the G's. Idol gets on the microphone and says, "This is Mount Idol." G's then says he's seen success ever since stepping into NWA. And every time you see our face talking about like Tyrus and the rest of the church's money, um, every time you see our face, we're killing it. You Knoxville nitwits need to understand you're looking at money. And then all of a sudden, Gags the Gimp just walks out to some pretty big cheers. So Jeez stares down Gags and kind of tries to intimidate him. Jeez tells Gags to go to the back. Gags won't leave. Jeez then asks him, "Are you sure about this?" And then, like I said, tries to intimidate Gags a little bit more, but it doesn't work. So G's asks for a referee to come out here, and the referee does. They ring the bell, and we're gonna have a match. So Gags goes for the mouth zipper already, but then G's attacks him. G's hits a Sayuto suplex and then talks some trash. Gags then fights back, but G's knocks him down with a back elbow. Gags gets thrown out of the ring, and then Idol hits Gags in the face face first into the apron with the referee's back turn. Jeez then goes out and hits a scoop slam on Gags to the concrete outside. Back in the ring now, Jeez is working over a chin lock, and this is the cue. The chin lock's always the cue for the crowd to make their rally claps. Only a few ladies in the front row give Gags his rally claps. Nobody else really. But Gags makes his comeback anyway with a headbutt with his horns on his Gimp mask. Jeez then hits a running forearm and a clothesline for a 2 count. Jeez hits with a scoop slam, but then misses a top rope stomp. Gags grabs Jeez by the nose, hits a couple strikes. Then Gags motions for the mouth zipper again, this time opening it. Gags sticks his tongue out to Austin Idol, but then Jeez is able to roll him up for a 2 count. Gags counters the clothesline with a back rake and hits the Gags reflex. Yes, the Gags reflex for the 1-2-3. The Gags reflex is basically a reverse DDT, a stinger drop. And Gags the Gimp with a huge win here on USA. The crowd cheers Gags, and he sticks out his tongue to the camera. So I one of my favorite gimmicks and characters in all of wrestling right now is Gags the Gimp. I wish more people would know about him. Anyway, we go to an ad break in our next match. Coming out, one half of the Country Gentleman, AJ Kazana, is making his entrance. He's accompanied by his father, Joe Kazana, and they are legends in the Knoxville, or at least Joe Kazana is the legend in the Knoxville area, and AJ Kazana is also from here. So out next is CJ the Assistant, who brings out and showcases Magic Jake Dumas. And at Always Ready, CJ the Assistant cost Jake his match. So let's see how this goes. And then right away, CJ holds the wrong ropes for Jake to enter, and that's her gimmick. She botches everything and is a complete airhead who doesn't even notice that she botches. And I think she's super funny. I like the humor. It's more than just a one-note joke. For instance, like the Orange Cassidy mocking kicks. That's a one note joke that never wasn't that funny to begin with and never evolves. But this one, like with CJ, she just finds so many different ways to show that she's terrible and botches everything and is an airhead. So I like it a lot. They always find a bunch of different ways to show how she's a screw up. So AJ with his tights pulled up to his navel, looking like a giant diaper in this match, the hometown hero. And Jake uses some good agility to counter moves from AJ at the beginning. Jake's definitely the quicker and more agile of the two. CJ has the size advantage and the strength advantage. Um, but then, I mean, AJ. So CJ, the assistant, accidentally distracts Jake by showing him his own necktie. So when he took off his jacket and necktie, CJ was like, already messing up and stuff again. So AJ takes advantage of CJ accidentally distracting Jake with a couple of slams. Jake then takes a playing card out, but that was just a distraction. He throws the card away and chops or thrust to the throat of AJ to take control. Crowd's chanting AJ's name now. Remember, the hometown hero. Jake hits an atomic drop and then a super kick to turn it around. And Jake starts yelling at CJ, the assistant, that she should have been celebrating that super kick. So Jake goes to hit another move, but stops to tell CJ to do the thing, do the thing. This lets AJ counter again. AJ hits some pretty big strikes and a vertical suplex. Now CJ's celebrating this, even though it's the wrong man on the outside. So Jake's talking trash to Joe now, which fires up AJ. And AJ hits a massive spine buster, makes the pinfall or the makes the cover, but now CJ's again celebrating the wrong man, but this time on the apron. This makes the referee go and tell her to get down instead of making the pinfall. So she either accidentally just helped Jake or she's a genius and because the ref doesn't make the count. So Jake rolls out of the ring now and tries to punch Joe Kazana of all things, but Joe blocks it and punches Jake in the face. Then that necktie that CJ kept showing off randomly is now used to trip AJ. She holds down AJ's feet with the necktie as Magic Jake Dumas makes the pin for the 1-2-3, gets the win, and it looks like CJ the assistant was a long con this entire time. So not exactly the match here I would use to show my hand with the long con. I would have definitely waited for a title match for that, but um, here it is, and we go to an ad break. So next, Pretty Empowered are out to pretty big cheers, and they're holding up their NWA Women's World Titles high. They just won them, and this is going to be their I think it's their first defense since they beat the Hex, and the Hex will be using their rematch clause here. So the Hex just storms right out and runs into the ring to take out Pretty Empowered right away. Marty Bell and Allison Kay take out Ella Envy and Kenzie Page. And the Hex takes the fight to the outside and destroys Pretty Empowered for about a minute. And then the action gets back in the ring. So Marty Bell is going after Kenzie Page, but Ella grabs Marty's leg. This gets Kenzie in control, who then is able to get Marty into trapped in the Pretty Empowered corner. Then we get a bunch of quick tags, and the announcers mention the quick tags. They were able to keep Marty in the corner. The announcers mention whoever wins this match will probably make it to NWA 74 in St. Louis, the next big event. So big things on the line here for a big title defense at a big event. Ella then gets the pin, but Allison Kay has the ref distracted. Marty then battles out of the corner finally and tags in Allison. Allison hits a nice looking neck breaker, like a spinning version. Kenzie has to break up the count. Marty's in the help now. Allison takes out Kenzie with a Saito suplex. Envy counters a move for and then rolls up for 2. But then Ella eats a big boot to the face from Allison. Allison then hits the vertebreaker of all things, and Kenzie just barely saves the match. So Marty takes out Kenzie, and the ref is distracted. This allows Ella to hit Allison Kay with the title belt over the head, and Kenzie Page saw the whole thing. So Kenzie Page has to make a quick decision. She only has 1 second to think what is she gonna do, and so Kenzie decides to grab Marty's leg, so Marty couldn't break out the pin. 1-2-3, Pretty Empowered win, and Kenzie is distraught on the outside. She doesn't even want to look at Ella, and Kenzie cannot stand what just happened. So really good stuff. Remember, we weren't quite sure if Kenzie saw what happened, but I think she did see what happened at Always Ready. But now it's like plain as day that Ella's out here cheating the win and all that, and like I said, Kenzie had a decision to make. She could have let Marty go in and break up the pin, but she decided to hold the leg and retain the titles. So pretty good story going on there. I'm interested to see where it goes and who's going to be the next. Whoever fights them for the titles next is probably going to win the title. So I'm guessing the Hex will get another rematch since there's so much cheating involved, and that might be our match at NWA 74. So that was the end of USA, and that's the end of this week's review. Like I said, these matches are way too short. It's got a lot of stuff that I find interesting. Like I love CJ the Assistant, I love Gags the Gimp, and then when they had their NWA like pay-per-view, the matches were good. The matches were long. It was NWA matches like you expect. And I understand you have squash matches and stuff on TV, but man, these are so short, especially the title matches. There's no reason for both of your tag team title matches to be less than 5 minutes. I don't think if you combine them, it probably would have only been 7 minutes combined. So that's not good at all. Maybe it's 10 minutes combined, but it still felt really, really short for those title matches. And maybe that's something they could fix in the future, or just don't have title matches on these Power and USA shows because they're worthless anyway. So I'll be back again next Saturday with another Power and USA review. We're not too far away from NWA 74. I think it's a month or two away. So we've got a lot to set up for that. It should be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully Father James Mitchell comes back soon. We did get to see him on Impact this week, though. And but I'm gonna get going. I'll be back later tonight with the Money in the Bank review, and I'll talk to you guys if you're only here for NWA. I'll talk to you guys again Saturday. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.